Hello and welcome to More Than Just Mum, the podcast with me, Heather Palfreman, and the amazing Jen Griffiths, the Tropic Pianist Gamer. I am super excited to be bringing you another amazing podcast today. And me and Jen have known each other for since 2021, 4 years.
4 or 5.
4 or 5 years. And it is 5 years because yes, we
It was
met in
lockdown.
literally as I'd started the business in September
Yeah.
2020 through Lisa Williams, who will be a guest on the podcast at some point. And that's how we met because then you did the Dream Skills workshop and I did a couple of things in Lisa's group, didn't I? So
Yeah.
yeah, nearly 5 years. That is bonkers where the time has gone. Um, so I'm going to just shush a minute. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Jen, and tell the listeners. I love saying that. Tell the listeners who you are and what you do, and where you're from as well, if you want.
So yes, I am the Tropic Pianist Gamer. I say pianist, not pianist, because it comes out rude when I
Sorry.
say it. So, Tropic Pianist Gamer,
Oh
multi-passionate entertainer, author and podcaster. I'm based on Anglesey, out in the sticks, with my cool Galaxy themed studio that I teach piano from.
yeah, it is amazing that wallpaper. I love it.
Thanks.
Fabulous. So as always, the reason that I've asked you to come on and invited you to come on is to share your story and your journey because we've all got a story to tell. We've all got a journey that we've been on, and when you've gone through tough times and you've come out the other side, or you've had this roller coaster journey, I think it's really important to share that with others and get our message out there, get our story out there, because you just never know. I get goosebumps. Like, you just never know who needs to hear what we've got to say. And that is the whole purpose of this podcast, is to help inspire, give hope to those people who might be struggling with things that others have been through, um, and to help them to know that they can get through it and that there is support out there, as well for them. And the support might be in the form of professionals, or it might be in the form of a Facebook group, because a lot of the circle that me and Jen are in, and the people that we know, a lot of those connections, and we've met through Facebook group, and built those really important connections that have kept a lot of us going through really hard times. So Jen, it's going to be over to you to share your story. And if you get stuck or you want any extra help, then just shout up. I'm still going to be here. But yeah, over to you because you've got a very powerful story.
Yeah, so Heather knows she was one of my main influences that helped get me out of it. But up until lockdown, I had a severe anxiety disorder. So I started suffering with anxiety from the age of 13, but it was brushed under the carpet for most of my teenage life. So by the time I was 18, I was pretty much scared of everything. But it still got worse. So I was bullied from age 4 until I was about 34, which is about 30 years of bullying. And it all adds up. It doesn't matter how much your mum tells you to ignore it, you can only ignore it so much. And it
Mm.
chips away at you for years till you feel like you're worthless, you're not up to anything, you're not good enough, etc. So it took me until lockdown and having a baby, being severely sleep deprived and sinking to the bottom of the pit of anxiety. I was diagnosed before that. So I was diagnosed in 2013 at the age of 27, the year after I got married. So I talk about how I anxiously planned a wedding in 2 years and then anxiously had the wedding day, focused on everything that went wrong, but it was still the perfect day. But yeah, I was diagnosed the year after with generalized anxiety disorder, and that was basically you're scared of stuff, we don't know what the triggers are, we can't help you. You just got generalized anxiety disorder. Take the medication. Anxiety caused me to fear the medication.
Oh
So I
gosh.
refused the tablets and got discharged on the basis that I had a supportive family. So I went on my way and sank, had the baby, which wasn't planned, but wasn't not planned either. that's a story of its own. Won't go into that. But yeah, so sleep deprivation nearly killed me physically and mentally and socially and everything else.
Sleep deprivation, I'm going to interrupt there, it is an absolute killer. It is
Yeah.
probably one of the hardest parts, I would say, of becoming a mum and a new mum, and especially then when they don't sleep till they're about 6 and then they're up at like,
Well,
oh,
yes, I've just been
it's
through a period of sleep deprivation again, and he's nearly 8 now. So yeah,
yeah. Hats off to any of the mums out there who are currently sleep deprived. We hear you, we see you, and we feel you, and
definitely.
it does get better, I promise. Just stick with it and reach out for support. And if you get help, if you have got help around you and you've got people that will have the baby for an hour, do not do the bloody housework. Go to fucking bed and go to sleep, please.
Yeah.
Like, I am praying, please just do that because you will feel so much better. Anyway, sorry, back to you, Jen.
Yeah, so sleep deprivation lasted 2.5 years consistently sleep deprivation. I
Mm.
can't say how many or how little hours we got in a week space of a week. It was between us. We were always a team, me and the husband Dolan. So Dolan was sleep deprived, but Dolan had full-time work, and I was a piano teacher teaching a small handful of students at the time. And he was helping as much as he could, but he could only help so much because he was working full time, trying to be awake for that. And both of us just wanted sleep. So basically, 2019, the kid was 2.5 by then, and it reached a breaking point with the husband because we weren't communicating. I every time I got anxious and stressed, I'd withdraw from everything. So including him, I'd start ignoring everything and just go into myself so much that no one knew what was going on. Unless I moaned about it, which I moaned to the husband if he was
Mm.
talking to me. But he had a habit of doing the silent treatment when I'd upset him and I couldn't work out what it was until this turning point in 2019 where I'd been using sugar to stay awake because I wasn't allowed caffeine due to the high blood pressure. I'd been using sugar, and there was this one afternoon in September 2019 where I ate half a chocolate orange. Now, that doesn't sound bad, but the culmination of eating loads of junk over the summer, that was
Yeah.
the trigger that sent me to hospital. So I'm scared. I'm still scared of hospitals and doctors even now. But back then, I didn't have a choice. I felt like I was dying, so I had to go to the hospital.
Wow.
Um, and it was like, right, you've got to have your gallbladder out. And I was like, no, you don't. You're not touching me. I have a habit of discharging myself. Every time I've been to hospital, I've discharged myself. Not like I've run away things. I'll sign the paperwork
Mm.
and do it properly because that's what
Yeah.
I like, but I will discharge myself. So they're like, right, well, if you're refusing to have it out, you've got to change your lifestyle. So after moaning to the husband for like 2 weeks because I couldn't eat properly, he kind of went off a bit then. And I managed to get a game that came out in October 2019, which is called Ring Fit Adventure, and I managed to lose 2 stone after being categorically obese.
Wow.
And I lost 2 stone by playing video games and not eating as much fat and sugar. So by the Christmas, I was feeling a bit slimmer.
That's amazing.
Thanks. So that's my unique story about getting fit by playing video games because I was too anxious to go to the gym. But that Christmas 2019, we were at breaking point as a couple, and he was actually in a car crash the day I was going to send him a letter to tell him how I felt. And it ended up being the last line of that letter was, maybe after today you'd like to put life into perspective a bit more. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have put that out loud, as it were, but I did it. And he read the letter, he took it on board. And it was basically a list of everything that I worry about on a day-to-day basis, having anxiety. And I basically coined the phrase, well, it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. So I don't use my anxiety as an excuse, but it's not often an explanation about why or how I've dealt with something the way I have.
Mm.
So it was a list. It was like what I do as a wife, what I'm worried about as a wife, a mum, a sister, a daughter, all the things I was. I'm a piano teacher. I wasn't a Tropic ambassador then. I was just a piano teacher. And the gaming community, I was admin of the main hub. I'm now head admin of the main hub, Nintendo Players UK. We've got a committee, But back then we didn't. There was a social media guy who used to undermine me at every turn. We triggered each other's anxiety, and he would cause me to have meltdowns, and he'd have meltdowns. We rubbed each other the wrong way all the time. So that was on the list. Like when I have a clash with this guy, things get very intense and I get very stressed about it. I can't control that. It just happens. And I said that when I get anxious, I withdraw. And I'm sorry that I've ignored you, basically. I don't mean to. This is me trying to explain myself. And he took it on board. And from that day, we basically flicked a switch to say, we can communicate now. Because he was going through his own things, but he wasn't communicating that.
Yeah.
So we basically shared with each other our own worries and things. He doesn't have anxiety, but he had a bit of mental health with his old job because he ended up
Right.
leaving it over mental health. But at the time, he was like, I don't really understand anxiety, but I want to understand. But I also don't want to be here anymore, kind of thing. He stayed because of the kid, he said.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, right, we need to get out of this. I need to learn how to communicate. And then obviously lockdown happened the following year. So there was 3 months between that letter and lockdown. And by lockdown, I was still anxious, but I knew to recognise the signs of when I was starting to withdraw. So I was able to communicate with him a bit better than previously. So going into lockdown, there was the panic because I thought I was going to lose my business overnight. That's why I joined Tropic. So I joined Tropic out of fear originally. But Tropic gave me the networking tools to communicate with other people about what I did because before that I was like, I teach piano. I have no evidence that I can play the piano, but I do teach piano. And everyone was like, okay then. And then I joined Tropic and I was like, I'm a Tropic ambassador. And everyone knew what Tropic was then. So
Yeah.
it gave me the things to talk about. But it took another 3 months of Tropic to really get somewhere with the mindset. So I never heard of mindset. I never heard of self-development. But Tropic opened those windows like network marketing does. And it was a turning point in summer 2020 where I made a comment at one of my team people that she obviously has more time on her hands than I do. And what my upline was like, how that's rude. You need to apologize to her. I was mortified and I was like, I need to change how I'm thinking and what I'm doing. So I tapped into the self-development side then and I was like, right, mindset changes. What am I missing? I was missing the whole emotional intelligence package basically. So I didn't know how to regulate my emotions properly. I was super emotional and I couldn't control my emotions. So I learned self-awareness and resilience through MIB, Mums in Business
Yeah.
International. And that's how I started networking originally, was through MIB. And later on in the first lockdown, I found you and I found Lisa. And I found Kat Massey. So you three were my main influences. Kat taught me that it was okay to be different. Kat inspired me to become the Tropic Pianist Gamer along with the singing sensei lady, Lisa.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was like, she's singing in sensei, I'm Tropic and piano. And then my husband was like, you're also a gamer because Nintendo North Wales. So I was like, Tropic Pianist Gamer, job done. And that was September 2020, just as I met you. And you taught me to set goals, which I was scared of originally because at school they're like, set your goals. Where do you want to be in 5 years? I was like, I have no idea. And they made me feel guilty for not knowing what I wanted to do in 5 years. When you ask me now what I want to do in 5 years, I pretty much say what I'm doing now. I'm fine with what I'm doing now. If I have the opportunity to grow, I'll grow. But if I don't, that's fine because I'm living my best life now. But there was the division. Lisa's the vision board queen, and
Yeah.
she was like, create a vision board, and I didn't align with that because I don't like the idea of having a big board on display. Not only because my husband would probably take the mic, but
Yeah.
Derry's my kid, so Derry would destroy whatever he didn't like. So if he doesn't like it, it's dead basically. So I actually made a toddler shoebox into an attraction box where I put the pictures in the box so it
Yeah.
was hidden but obvious to me. And I put my biggest goal, big hairy audacious goal, was to own a baby grand piano. I was like, one day I'm going to own a grand piano.
Mm.
But then lockdown happened. And after lockdown, I've been teaching online and I realized that my piano was actually better than a grand piano quality wise.
Oh wow.
Because I network further afield, so I network in person as far as Cheshire now. So I'm on Anglesey. So I did make it to your Nottingham event in 2023, of course, as a guest speaker. So
You
that
did,
is the
yes.
limit of where I'm willing to travel to because I nearly fell asleep at the wheel there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's like online gives more scope for geography. So I networked into a piano teachers forum. So I enjoy being a member of that as well now. So I feel a bit more connected to the musical world because as a
Yeah.
networker, I host networking events in my area now. And it's like, well, I'm great at the business connection, so I can signpost people to relevant industries and stuff. So, for example, I had a teenage piano student who was suffering with mental health, so I signposted to an expert in teenage mental health. Job done. But I wasn't very connected in the music world because the
Mm.
music world made me anxious originally. So going back to uni, I was told I was rubbish at the
Yeah.
viola and piano. Never told anyone I played the piano, which is ironic because I had the grade 8 in piano, but not viola. But I failed viola on the basis that I wasn't good enough. And I had that going through my mind all the time. I'm not good enough. I'm not
Mm.
going to make anything of myself as a musician. But musician was all I knew. So
Yeah.
obviously now, being the Tropic Pianist Gamer, I know my calling is as a piano teacher. So that's my main output. But I have to be the Tropic Pianist Gamer because I've got a neurodivergent brain which
Yeah.
is doing lots of different things at once. So
Yeah. I'm the same. I get that. Like, I've got obviously more than just mum and UW, and I'm like, how can I be both? Like, and I have got two separate Instagram accounts, like two separate Facebook pages, and
yeah, so I
like,
was told to do that originally. I was supposed to have a piano page of Tropic Pianist.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it all together or not at all. So I just put it all in one page, and everyone's like,
yeah, and I
"How do you
love
know
it.
what you're selling?" It's like, well, I don't know. I'll just work that out as I go along. So what I've learned in over the last couple of years is if I focus on one thing at a time, I
Yeah.
get results. So
Yes.
mainly I focus on piano tuition. So I'm almost fully subscribed for piano tuition.
Yeah.
If I focus on my book and talk more about my book, I sell more copies of my book. If I talk about my podcast, I get more people
Yeah.
finding my podcast. So my podcast is so niche, people wouldn't find it naturally.
No. No.
So I have to tell people where to find it, and then I get listeners for that.
Yeah.
And obviously, gaming runs itself because that's a long established thing with the husband. That's our shared
Yeah.
passion. I think it's important to have a shared passion with your partner if you can. So that's our main thing we do together. It's also self care as well. So my entire brand is based around the concept of self care because I
Yeah.
realised how important self care was as a mum. So Tropic, obvious, pamper yourself. Piano,
Yeah.
playing piano to myself like you'd sing in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And gaming with the husband, self care.
Yeah. I love it. And I think the important part, like point to make there as well, is that you've got to find what works for you. I am very much, I've had people telling me I should just be doing one business, but like millionaires have got seven businesses, haven't they?
Yeah.
I'm not striving to be a millionaire, but it's finding what works for you. And sometimes something's going to work, and then other times something else is going to work better for you. And like I'm not diagnosed as neurodiverse or anything, but I am pretty sure that I
Yeah,
am
same.
like 1,000% sure. Um, and like there will be times where I'm like, I can't deal with that business right now. I'm focusing on this one and I'm going all in on this one. And there'll be times where I'm focusing on that one and I'm going all in on that. And then there'll be times where actually I can juggle both. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's pretty cool. I'm like, oh my God, like this is so easy, like
There's a
juggling
chance I
both.
might
And
get
like,
overwhelmed on the times where I end up doing the gaming admin, my piano
yeah,
tuition, and Tropic all on the same day.
yeah,
Then my
yeah.
brain's just like whoosh.
Yeah,
But
and then you've got the school run, and then you've got the
yeah,
kids after school, and it's like, oh my God. But it is about finding what works for you, and I think one of the things that, and did I speak about this in my podcast? I don't know, but after like my first year of in business, I started listening to everybody else. And that's when I started to get severely overwhelmed because I was like trying to change everything. I stopped being who I was. I became a bit of a knob. Um, and you
I
know,
actually remember that.
thanks. Like, and I just changed who I was because what I started to do was, like you said about goals before, but I started to chase the 5K, the 10K months because that's what everyone else was doing. And I wasn't listening to my own advice and I wasn't listening to my heart, you
Yeah,
know? And, and so for anyone that's listening that's going, oh my God, I just don't know what to do a contrast to clarity. Okay. I can put the link in the show notes. It's a free download. Get clear on what it is that you actually want. Get all the
yeah,
stuff that you don't want out of your head and onto paper and get all the stuff that you do want and then start focusing on that because everyone focuses on what they don't want. And don't always listen to external noise. Like that is a really, really important thing to say. Sometimes you have to and sometimes you need to. But if you know in your heart what it is you want to do, I was gonna say follow through with that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We're not going to talk about farts and bogies today. That was the other podcast. But yeah, so I just wanted to just point that out. But so thank you. You can carry on now if you can remember where you are.
No, I can't. But
We
yeah, it's important to know like you've got to follow your heart if you're able to. Because I do have a couple of because the gaming community attracts a lot of people on the autism spectrum, and I do
okay.
have those people like I can't choose to be happy. I'm stuck where I am, and I can't help them because they have to realize themselves, but they
Yeah.
they're not refusing to realize themselves, but they don't know how.
No.
So they're stuck in a bit of limbo at the moment, and I wish I could help, but there's only so much
Yeah.
I can do. But in the end, you've got to know what you want yourself, not what other people are telling you you want
Yeah. And it.
or assuming you want.
Yeah.
And I remembered a funeral that I attended in 2018, and my dad was smirking because I said I run Nintendo North Wales, a gaming community, and even though he introduced me to gaming in the first place, he thought I was a joke because I ran a gaming community as an adult. It's like, how dare you play video games as an adult? But there's a whole world out there of video gaming adults.
Mm,
It's not just me.
no.
I wouldn't say it's
Be a
mainstream,
bit
but
lonely, wouldn't it, if it was just you?
it's not mainstream by any means, but it's as valid as liking football.
Yeah.
There's a
But there
whole
won't, there
world
won't,
out
there won't be much admin either, would there?
there. But
But
yeah,
this
it's
is the
following your
thing.
heart again. If your
Yeah.
heart's in gaming, you don't have to stop playing it just because your partner says you're not a gamer anymore. You can't be a gamer because you're an adult.
No. No. And
But
it is about listening. Like there are going to be dream stealers and neg ferrets and whatever you want to call the people out there. Like one of my goals is a white grand piano. I told someone quite close and they literally just laughed at me. And I was like, I'll show you like one day, you know, and I have had my fair share of the bullies and the dream stealers and all of that, but I can be very, very focused and very determined. And that's why right now I am where I am with two businesses. I literally work 5 to 10 hours a week, and more than I ever used to do working 160 hours a month with an hour's commute each way. And I'm able to be there for my child who's got Crohn's and is poorly, and my other child that, you know, whatever. I'm able to be there for them. And if I'd have listened to the dream stealers and the neg ferrets and the people that were like, "You're doing what? You're flogging gas and lecky? You're flogging aloe vera? What are you doing that for?" Like, if I'd have listened to them, I'd have been still stuck in a job now that I didn't enjoy, that was draining me, that wasn't making me happy. But I haven't worked for anyone for 9 years, and I love
yeah,
it.
same.
And you know, and I have people around me now who are still working full time, are still whining and still whinging about where they are, but they don't do anything about it. They'd rather sit there on their arse and whine about it and whinge about it than actually do anything about it. And I had a conversation with someone the other day who's a little bit younger than me, and they were like, "Oh, I'm just so busy all the time, but I've got to get used to it because I've got another 30 years." I'm like, "Oh my God, no, like you don't have to follow the system. Like obviously I'm speaking to a lot of converted people on here who are already running their own business or wanting to start their own business. And, Jen shared today, you've shared your story about how you were bullied and the anxiety. And if you want to read more about Jen's story, she will share in a minute. But she has got a brilliant book, which I've just found out is on Audible, so I will be getting that. I have got the book, but I'm more of an Audible girl, so I might do them both together. Um, but you can overcome huge things in your life, and we've got a couple of other guests that are going to be coming on and sharing their story. But you've got to be aware of it. You've got to be. It's that first thing. I've got hair in my mouth. Is that self-awareness, and then that desire to want to change,
Yeah.
because you can sit in the shit for however long, but the longer you sit in it, the harder it is. And I'm not saying toxic positivity. Sometimes you have to go through. It's the roller coaster of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks I've been really poorly, and I just haven't wanted to do anything. I mean, that's because I'm poorly. But there are times in business where I'm like, I just want to quit. Like, this isn't going very well, and like in both businesses, um, and I can either sit in that energy, or I can do something to change it. And even now, I've been doing personal development since I was 25, so 14 years now. I know I don't look it. But it's like you said, like you joined Tropic, you said that comment and you were like, oh my, like you got told off. And it was like that shame and that embarrassment, I imagine, like you felt.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh my God, like something has to change here. And the only person that can change it is me. And that is that light bulb moment for so many people. And it's like, right, okay, yes, this needs to change. So, right, where can I go to get the information that I need, the people and the support to help me to do that? And it's been just incredible watching your journey, because there's no way you would have done this. Like, there's no way you would have spoken on stage, um, you know, a few years ago when we first met.
No, it was my
Uh,
worst nightmare.
I mean, I don't even think you liked being on camera on Zoom.
No.
And like that, that was four and a half years ago. It'll be
Yeah.
4.5 years this month. Like, and you do so much now. You like you your Instagram, like you do like you do your pod, you do all sorts of stuff now, and it's just amazing. But you've still got that anxiety, but you've learned how to overcome that and how to
Yeah. So
tools to use.
anxiety now, I'm no longer on edge every day. I do get the odd triggers here or there, but the way I overcome them is a lot quicker. So originally it could take me months to come down from a trigger, but now it takes me less than a couple of hours pretty much.
And
So
that's amazing.
I
Like
don't
it,
get relapses either where I go into anxiety mode like a 24/7 kind of thing. So I've done enough self-development to thoroughly process it, and writing my book was part of that process because I was still anxious when it was published in 2022.
yeah.
But I've grown
3 years
since.
it's been out now.
Yeah, 3 years
Wow.
in May.
So September 2020, you didn't want to go on Zoom. You were quite shy, still
Oh,
quite anxious.
I was kind of getting into Zoom by September 2020 because that's when I emerged as a Tropic Pianist Gamer. And then it took me
Yeah,
until
yeah.
June 2021 to get my branding sorted because
Okay.
this studio opened in Easter 2021 and I had my background then. So all of my backgrounds have got this galaxy theme going on.
Yeah. And then a year later, you'd done your book. You'd written a book.
Yeah. So
Like,
my growth method is slow but steady. I'll do things in steps. So
but if you think about, I'm just gonna question that, because it might feel like it's slow and steady, but if you told someone that in 2020, like you were really struggling with stuff, by 2022, you'd written and released a book. Like, that is pretty epic.
I
And
wrote a blog in 2021, which was basically what turned into the book. So it
like,
that bit of my story goes in August 2020.
mm,
A guest blog came out with only my first name on it because I was afraid of being judged. But someone asked me to tell them that my story in 8,000 words for a blog. I was like, 8,000 is a lot of words. But once I started writing, I just kept going. And I was like, right, I'm happy with that, but you can only put a first name. And then I shared it on World Mental Health Day in that October, and everyone who noticed it was like, wow, thanks for sharing your story. You've inspired me. And there was
Mm,
a couple of blokes who were like, oh, you've inspired me to share my story. So they then went on their Facebook and wrote their bit of story. And I was like, if that has that powers to do that, I want to write my full story. So
yeah.
the following Easter 21, I wrote a blog. It took me a month and it was in all sorts of weird order. But the book was basically change the blog into non-fiction, make it readable in a book format.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to bring it out in Mental Health Week, which is May 20. Well, 2022 was the year of the tiger, and I'm a tiger, so that's why it is 2022.
Ah, amazing. What,
So
like, what a journey. So go
this is
on,
my
show us
book.
your book. Show us your book. Oh, hold it up. There
As
we
an
go.
anxiety warrior.
There we go.
It wasn't quite a bestseller, but it did get top five on release day.
Amazing.
And if you order it directly from me, you get a bookmark. I can't remember if you received a bookmark with yours, but it's got my life motto on it: never give up.
Love it.
And there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Love it. I love it.
It's available on paperback and Kindle and Audible on Amazon, or you can buy directly from me for a free bookmark.
Fabulous. Well, what we'll do is we'll put all your links and stuff in the show notes. So I still can't believe I'm saying that. But where else can people find you on
So
social media?
if I'm allowed to promote what I'm doing this year, I'm working on the public speaking. I know I did public speaking first time for you in 2023, but it was a bit quiet last year. I spoke at a yoga festival. Well, this year I've got three speaking gigs in the space of a month. So
Amazing.
I'll be speaking in Chester for Laura Tier Jones Get Shit Done Club in beginning of June. Then I'm speaking at the yoga festival again, and then I'm presenting a workshop at Womanifest Fest this year, which is the big goal of 2025 to speak
Amazing.
at a big festival. So I'll be doing an interactive workshop about finding true confidence for that.
Fabulous. Like, it's just amazing.
So if
Just
you want to find me in person, book a ticket to the Yoga Festival in Anglesey, which is ashtanglelife.co.uk, or book a ticket to Womanifest Fest.
absolutely. And I'll be there at One Manifest as well.
Yeah.
I've never been, but I'm a main
Oh,
stage
you'll love it.
speaker.
You'll love it.
Oh, I'm really nervous. So that's one of my goals this year is to do more public speaking. And yeah, I'm on the main stage and I'm really nervous, but I'm really excited because there's loads of the More Than Just One community who are going. Some
Yeah.
have got stalls, some are doing some like massage and it's yeah, and then we've got quite a few that are doing workshops and presenting. So I'm going to be like running around trying to make sure that I catch everybody. But yeah, I am very, very excited, and I've just loved like there is so much more to your story, but people need to go and get your book, don't they, really? They need
Yeah.
to get your book so they can listen to it.
On my
Um,
podcast,
or
which
your
is the
pod,
Tropic
yeah,
Pianist Gamers podcast, it's very
yeah,
niche, but if you search for the Tropic Pianist Gamer, it'll come up. It's on
yeah,
all major platforms, and the video episodes, which are the guest episodes, are on YouTube.
under Tropic Pianist Gamer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you are also on Instagram as well.
I'm on most platforms as the
Yes, I
Tropic
was gonna say,
Pianist Gamer.
guess what your handle is.
The only one I'm not is Twitter stroke X because I don't like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit my name on it. So I'm not Tropic Pianist Gamer on Twitter,
Okay.
which is not called Twitter anymore. But yeah.
It's not, no, no.
We're all
I
using
can't even log on to Twitter. But anyway. Right. Thank you so, so much for coming on and sharing your journey. This podcast will be released not this Friday, not next Friday, the week after. Don't know what the date is, and no one's going to know that because it doesn't matter because this is at the end of the podcast and the podcast has already gone out. But I don't edit it. So right,
randomness.
shall we
Thanks for
say
having
see you
me.
later? You're welcome. Yes. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and to follow on all other platforms. And if you would like to work, have a look at More Than Just Mum, and then just go to the website morethanjustmum.com. Thank you for listening.